Like I'll be starting with a small Ruby program, and I'll be giving a small difference between the other languages and how flexible is the Ruby language, so that you can compare with the other languages, and you can know the benefits and advantages of Ruby also. So basically, like each and every Ruby file has an extension of .rb, which stands for Ruby actually. So if you, it's basically a text file where I'll be opening here. I'm using a Mac OS actually. So I'll be opening. So for example, like I want to do a small addition of numbers. Okay. Let us say something like 1 plus 1. Write a small program for 1 plus 1 which gives the output as 2, right? So in Java, like you'll be declaring a class, okay, and then you'll be declaring like what type of data type is it. Like I'm not writing exactly the syntaxes, but I'll be giving a small example, something like public static, whether it's an integer or whatever it is, okay. So I'll be declaring 3 data types. So basically like 3 data types, and then I'll be writing something like public static void main. So you need to write big syntaxes where the developer needs to remember all these syntaxes actually when you are going with Java. So then you'll be writing something like x is equal to 1, wow, y is equal to 1, and then you will be writing something like x plus y, okay. So then if you want to print something in Java, system.println, and so here for a small program writing 1 plus 1, for writing a small program, nothing but an addition of just 2 numbers. I'm writing almost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 10 lines of code in Java. If you don't declare anything like this, it's going to throw an error. And if you miss a single semicolon, it's going to throw you an error. And it's difficult for the developer to remember like public static void main, public static integers, and it's a small example I'm giving right away. So, and in order to print, like you need to write the syntax and you need to remember a lot of syntaxes in Java, right? So, when you're coming with, when you're going with Ruby, it's basically a program. I'll be writing in this way, y is equal to 1, and in order to do a small addition as we learned in our school days, like that is equal to x plus y. So, and in order to print that particular one, like the syntax is nothing but P, which stands for printing. So here in this case in Ruby, what I did is I just declared x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1, and z is equal to x plus y. So here I don't have any standards, like I need not to declare anything like whether it's an integer or a float or a string. You need not to declare anything. So basically like Ruby is clever, like when you declare 1, it takes directly as an integer. And if you keep like semicolon, inverted commas, it directly takes as a string. And if you give something like 0.02, like 1.02, so it directly takes as a float. So Ruby is so clever, like you need not to declare any data types here, and there are no syntax problems, like I don't have anything like a semicolon in the end, something like in Java or .NET. So basically, like this is my Ruby program. Like instead of writing 10 lines of code in Java and other languages like .NET or something like that, so like here it's something like I directly declare it, and in order to run this program, so it's in Java you need to compile and then execute the programs, right? Ruby is basically an interpreter language, so you need not to compile anything. So I'm just navigating into desktop here, and I see like, let me check. Okay, this is the file here. Always I told like Ruby, like you'll be having something like extension of .rb. So in order to run this program, I just need to run something like ruby space class.rb. Here it gives you the output directly here. If you see here, so writing a small program plus 1, I mean, or it's a float. So you need not to directly do any conversions or anything like data type conversions also. Ruby is so clever, like it directly gives you an output like 2.02. So I can also print some of the strings. Try this demo, okay, and I try to print this. So in order to execute, I mean, interpret, I mean, if you want to execute the Ruby files, like you just need to give Ruby space class.rb. So here it's printing basically like what are the outputs, like line number 5 I gave a print, and line number 6 I gave another print. So 2 lines are printing over here. We need not to have any data type declarations or syntax problems also. So like this, there are a lot of benefits when you are coming with Ruby actually. Coming to Ruby, like it's a small demo session what I had given. So I'll be now covering with small reels. I'll just show the structure actually. So you can have basically like this is a language, right? So I told like Ruby is a language. So using Ruby language, you'll be writing, you'll be developing some web applications. Okay. So basically like web applications, it all follows like MVC architecture. So basically like this is all your code. This is all your code. So where you'll be having different, it will be following MVC architecture. MVC stands for model, views, and controllers. So models, views, and controllers. So basically like what is a web application? Okay. So let us say something like, let me open a page. So I'll be giving a small description like what is really a web application and how we can follow the rails into this web application. Okay. Web application. Okay. So web application is nothing but like what the user is viewing in the browser basically. So and it has a lot of links here, and it can go to different navigations, and there will be a lot of records in the backend database. So let me explain what it really does and what is a web application. So basically, like what is a web application? A web application is nothing but it's an interface for users where they can navigate, right? Where they can navigate, pull some data from different pages, and do some posts into the web application. So whatever we are looking in the web, like using a browser, is nothing but a web application. So web application basically like whatever the end user is nothing but like what we are looking into it. So for example, like I'm looking into this interface. So whatever the end user is looking into browser basically. And user is looking into browser. So in this browser, like there will be a lot of views, right? So basically, this is nothing but HTML pages. Basically, these are all HTML pages where some HTML code is written. Like they had written a lot of HTML codes. You see, these are like there are a lot of HTML codes here, and some of the CSS class and everything has been applied. So basically, all these HTML and CSS pages are nothing but like whatever the end user is seeing. And so okay, the end user is data here. So and there is a lot of data coming up. I mean this whole data, the left hand side and this data set, there are these codes are coming from where? There should be some kind of a backend, right? So in this backend then there should be some kind of a storage, right? So I'll be storing everything. Let us say an example of an Excel sheet. So how the Excel sheet will be looking like, it has some rows and columns, right? So it has some rows and columns. So this is one of the row. This is a whole row, and it is also having some of the columns, right? So in these rows and columns, some data got inserted. So if I say something like on 10, 12, and 2013, what is the task assigned and what's the status? I can easily know now, because it's basically an Excel sheet where there are rows and columns, right? So at any point of time after 1 year, if I can come over to this into this Excel sheet, and if I check some date or any task name, I can easily find whether the status is open or closed. So for this kind of data is maintained at the back end, so that each and every data is sorted into rows and columns. So basically like rows and columns are nothing but you'll be having a kind of a tables, right? So the backend, it is nothing but there is a kind of a database. There is a kind of a database where it has some rows and columns, so that it will be hard to be easily, I mean, we can easily check and we can easily insert, we can easily delete, we can edit, and these all kind of things we can be doing in the database tables, rows and columns, right? So basically, like, these are all nothing but, if you have a small knowledge of database, then these are called nothing but the tables, right? So the backend, it can be the Ruby on Rails. Rails is a framework, and it can get connected to different databases also, where basically, like, you can go with MySQL, you can go with Oracle, you can go with SQL Server. So basically, like, all the backend things, it can get connected using this Ruby on Rails application. So it's nothing but the tables, which are nothing but in the backend. The backend is nothing but your database where you're storing, you're inserting, and these all kind of things. You can get interacted with it. In order to interact with this kind of a database, your application should communicate with the database somehow, and there should be some kind of a bridge. So what are those bridges? Like, for example, there are 10 tables. Let us assume something like 10 tables. There are some kind of a 10 tables, and one is users table, and the other one is students table, other one is something like addresses. So there are some kind of like 10 tables, let us say, as an example. So these 10 tables should somehow, I mean, it should interact with our Rails application. So in order to interact with Rails application, there are some kind of bridges which are called as models actually. There are some kind of bridges where there are, it's called models. So each and every table is somehow connected with users table. So let us say an example, there are 10 tables. So in this case, I have 3 tables. I'll basically create 3 models here for 3 tables. One is user model, other one is student model, and other one is the address model. So basically, like, if I want to retrieve any data or insert any data, I can communicate via my model called user, where there in Rails, it follows standard things like naming convention and everything. It should be singular, and your table name should be always plural. So in this case, my users table is there, so it is a plural. So in this case, my model name should be singular. So that's why I'm writing something like user here. So in this case, my table name is student. My model name is student. So it's basically like a singular naming convention where we need to follow in our Rails app. Here we had seen like views, which are nothing but the interface, which consists of HTML and CSS. So, and the other one are nothing but models, where I'll be communicating a kind of a bridge between my tables and my Rails application. MVC. So we covered M and we covered V. V stands for views, right? So basically like MVC. MVC architectures. M stands for models. V stands for views. So we discussed like MV and C. Okay, what is C? C stands for nothing but controller. Okay, I'm in Facebook now. Okay, so now once I click on this link, let us say something like, when I click on this particular link, it is going to redirect to a different page, right? So if you see, it got redirected to a different page. So controller is the main heart of your application, where it tells on which link you are clicking and which page it needs to redirect. The controller is going to take place. I mean, that's the main heart of the application, where it decides like which page it needs to get redirected and what point of time what it should do. It tells the MVC architecture. It follows like models, views, and controller style. So controller tells like where it needs to redirect, what it should do, where to pull the data, from which model it needs to retrieve the data. This is nothing but basically MVC. So now I'm going to show you something like the exact fault structure. Why they are really following MVC architecture? Why Rails is really following MVC architecture? Okay, for example, like before like 20 years and everything, like they don't follow anything like MVC architecture. They directly write everything in the same file, in the same class file. They write all their HTML, CSS, they write all their codings and everything in one place. But tomorrow the client asks something like, okay, I want to change the whole functionality and I want to replace the whole page. So for example, like there are tons and tons of lines of codes where it, mixed up with all your HTML, CSS and all your classes, all your logical codes and everything in one single file, in one single class. It will be not so easy for the developer to debug the things, right? So it's going to consume a lot of time. Actually, then came the picture of MVC architecture where they followed some standards. Okay, all my interface like views, like all my HTML and CSS files should go into a different place so that it will be easier for the developer to look into it, and it will be easier for him to debug the things and directly. So that's why they started a kind of an architecture like MVC architecture where all your HTML and CSS files will be placed in this. These are nothing but all your folder structures. Like these if you see here, models, views and controllers. So let us not discuss about this because like we're concentrating more as a demo session. So controllers, views and models. So if you see like views, in these views there are folders where it has an extension of html.erb. So basically like if you see here, this is nothing but my HTML code. So for example, like client says like, okay, tomorrow there is an error, today there is an error in some kind of a page. So it will be easier for the developer to go into that particular folder easily. For example, there is some error in the countries page or something. So I'll be directly going to the countries page here, and I'll look, there are some HTML pages here, and I'll directly go into that particular page and I'll fix that particular issue. So it will be easier for the developer, like in a way, like he can sort all the HTML and CSS files in the views and models. Coming to models, what I said is like it's a bridge between your database tables and your Rails application. So basically, like these are all tables. Like it follows a similar, right? So countries is there is a table. Locations there is a table. Orders there is a table. So basically, like all your rules regarding your particular table, it can be written here, and all your database queries. So this is basically like a models. So models are nothing but bridges between the tables and your Rails application. And coming to controllers, so this is basically a controller where it tells like place it needs to redirect. For example, it needs to show something like this page. So it tells like, let me show you another one. Okay, basically this tells something like what to do at what point of time, and redirect to which page, and when to save, and when to update, when to delete some kind of records and everything. So basically like this is the control, is nothing but your heart of your application. It has a different methods. In Rails it said as methods, and in other languages they say something like functions. They say functions, right? So in order to declare a small function also, it's as simple as like you can declare a function in this way: def space, give the name of the function and end. So this is a kind of a function in Rails. Mostly they say something like methods. Okay. So basically this is like the whole MVC architecture it follows, and there are a lot of other folder structures and everything. And if you want to configure your database, it's as simple as giving your username and password. So this one here I'm giving something like a MySQL connection, the adapter is MySQL, and I'm directly giving the username and the password for my database. So it has three modes basically, like development, test and production. So basically like there is nothing like a big configurations or something in order to get connected to a particular database. It's basically like just give your what kind of a database you're connecting, give your database name, give your username and password. These all things you are going to make all your libraries and everything. You need not to download anything. It's directly, it's all automatic. You just need to give the name of makes you easy, like your workload will be very easy. And for example, like in Java, if you do work with two developers or Java developers, Rails, it's going to finish in 20 to 25 days with one developer. So it's as quick, and that's why it's called as rapid development, because of lot of functionalities. And okay, basically like even Rails has a lot of features, even querying the database also. Giving a small example of how the queries will be working in Rails also. So for example, like I have a table called users, and I want to write an SQL query, basically like select star from users, right? Okay. So you can communicate everything via the model, right? So basically like for the users table, the model name is user. So basically I can write as simple as like user.all. So this retrieves me this basically like fires. This basically fires like the same query as above, like which is nothing but select star from users. So basically like it's easy to remember like the all rather than writing I mean remembering something like select star from users. When you're coming to complex joins and when you want to retrieve from 2-3 tables, then it's really hard for the I mean the developers even to write some left outer join, right outer joins, and these all kind of syntaxes they need to remember or they need to Google. But it's as simple as Rails is already giving some inbuilt functionalities and some methods where you can utilize their methods and you can simply write the queries without remembering a lot of big syntaxes. So in this case, the same query select star from users, you need not to write select star from users, you need not to remember select star from users. You can simply use Rails inbuilt methods which is nothing but user.all. So user.all, it's easier for us to remember rather than having writing something like you select star from users. So like this, there are a lot of inbuilt methods which are provided by Rails itself. That makes the burden less to the developers while they're developing and writing some of the codes. So like this, there are a lot of examples when you're going with Rails. Basically, it has all inbuilt security methods also with SQL injections and everything. There are a lot of methods which are already provided by Rails. You need to mostly concentrate as a developer. You need to mostly concentrate on the logical part, right? Rather than concentrating on big syntaxes and writing big codes in order to implement small functionality. So basically, like Rails has a lot of advantages regarding. Rails follows MVC architecture and it can connect to multiple databases. I mean, whatever databases it supports, it even supports like NoSQL also, which is the latest ones are like MongoDB. So you need not to have anything like tables or something. I think like you heard about MongoDB, which are NoSQLs. So like basically like they follow the document-based models. Even it supports, I mean, the MongoDB, PouchDB, and the queries will be working in Rails also. So this is something about demo about Ruby on Rails, and now I'm going to show like the structure how we're going to follow. So basically like initially we'll be starting with Ruby language, where we'll be discussing about objects, variables, methods, OOPS concepts, variables, and how to instantiate classes, how to write classes, how to do some multiple inheritance and using modules and everything, and basically like all the strings, arrays, hashes, symbols, numerics, blocks, methods, and exceptional handling. And then we'll be, after we finish with Ruby language, then we'll be going with Rails. So migrations, even it's a very good feature in Rails when you're comparing with other frameworks actually, and how to do conventional configurations, and how we can write accurate, how we can do creating, reading, updating, and deleting, and dynamic, how to do some custom SQL queries, how to do SQL queries, and advanced finding, dynamic finders, session management, and how to do different types of validations in forms in Rails actually. What are the methods it is giving, and what are helpers, and how we can display the error messages and everything, and how we can send mails from our Rails application, and how what are REST URLs, and basically like a REST HTTP methods like puts, then delete, posting and deleting and getting the records, basically like HTTP methods actually. So we'll be following all the standards and everything, and then we'll be having discussing one or two gems where we'll be implementing some of the functionalities without writing a single line of codes in Rails, and how we can implement